I have some really big news this week. My job gets easier and easier because there is so much going on in the world that you need to be aware of. And the reason why you need to be aware of it is because we're always looking for confirmation of where we're going. So if I gave you directions how to get to my house, I might say, drive down the highway till you see this sign, and then go down until you see this blue fence, and then make a left, and then at the mailbox, make a right. And I would say eventually you're going to get to this location, get to my house, or get to wherever. And so as you're driving, you're constantly looking at the signs to make sure you're continuing to go the right way. And you're also looking to see if you're getting closer. And so we have these ideas of where the world is going, and we're looking for either confirmation that we are going that way or we're going somewhere different. It's very similar to how the intelligence agencies like the FBI would look at threats. And so they might say, here's 3 or 4 potential threats for this event. There could be a bombing, there could be a shooting, there could be whatever, right? So there's different threats for this event. If this was going to happen, then this, and this would have to happen. But if this thing was going to happen, then it would be this, and this. Because they don't know exactly, they don't have a crystal ball. And so what they're going to do then is they're going to sit back and they're going to watch. And as they start to see these certain events happening, they start to show them which direction that we're going, which potential outcome would be reached. And so if we are going into a decentralized world, like I believe we are, I believe that's what history shows us, or we're not, we want to know, are we going that direction? So we look for these signposts, and we can see them everywhere. They're all over the place. One of the signposts that I see all over is the world seemingly breaking down before our very eyes. If you've read the book Atlas Shrugged, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'd highly recommend it. Ayn Rand wrote it. It's a big book. It's highly worth to read. And it talks about how as government gets big, it gets oppressive, it starts to restrict the free markets, which create all the development and technologies. And as it continues to restrict them, you get less and less entrepreneurs participating in the society. They start going and creating their own society, and that society breaks down. And of course, so we can see this all over the place, and there's signs to show this. Now, there's a couple things that I saw, one of which is cyber pandemics. Now, is this a sign that society is breaking down because entrepreneurs aren't participating, or is this a sign that we're at the end of an empire where basically the best way to get ahead is to steal and manipulate? Or is it maybe intentionally being done in a way to get us to act on something? Well, I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is that these things are happening, and it's very coincidental that at the very same time the World Economic Forum is meeting, talking about the risks that we face because we're going to face a cyber pandemic. So cyber attacks are going to happen so big and so frequently, they're going to become so bad that it's going to be a pandemic, a cyber pandemic. And so since this is going to happen, and because it's going to be so bad, then we need to do something about it now. And what would that thing be? Oh yeah, you and I, we should give up more of our freedoms. What freedoms should we give up? Well, we need to give up any of our freedoms that would allow us to use the internet anonymously. So they want it to be like China. In China, you have to be verified before you can use the internet. Being able to use the internet anonymously puts everybody in danger. And you don't have the right to put others in danger. Don't be so selfish. Who cares about your own personal privacy? Think about the greater good. You staying private puts me in danger, and you don't have that right. I'm being sarcastic. I'm not really being sarcastic. That's what they say. I don't agree. Or maybe I do agree. It doesn't really matter. The point is that the greater good is doing less harm. So for the couple of % of people that want to potentially hurt things, that's bad. I don't want terrorism. But at risk of putting 98% of the population through hassle, trouble, and even more danger, I don't think it's worth that. And so what am I talking about? So what they propose is that everybody has to put an ID in, they have to be verified before they can use the web. That way, if you say mean things they don't like or approve, they know who you are. But they believe if you give up your privacy, then they can control that. Now, there's the carrot approach, which is how do we incentivize people to do that? And then there's the stick approach. How can we force them to do that? We've been seeing them talk about this ramp up of cyber attacks, and yet all of a sudden, here they are. I saw this week, we saw Yum Brands says that nearly 300 restaurants in the UK were impacted due to a cyber attack. Yum Brands said late on Wednesday a ransomware attack impacted certain information technology systems of the company, which led to the closure of nearly 300 restaurants in the UK for a day. It's a big deal. Now, a side note, funny coincidental, Yum Brand owns Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. They didn't specify which restaurants were impacted. I just think it's funny, it's Pizza Hut. If you don't understand the relevance of that, in 1994, the very first purchase of the internet was done, and it was at Pizza Hut. In, I think, 2009, I think the first purchase with Bitcoin was done, and it was for pizza. And now we have the cyber attacks being done at pizza joints. Something about pizza and hackers and computer nerds, I guess. I'm not sure. If you know about that, leave me a comment, let me know. But it says that KFC said there was no evidence of customer databases were stolen, even though data was taken from the company's network. And so this seems to be ramping up. Now, some of these ransomware attackers ask to be paid in Bitcoin. So they might have you believe that it's Bitcoin's fault. Never mind the fact that they've been doing these long before Bitcoin were around. More of these have been paid off in dollars than have ever been paid in Bitcoin. But they may tell you it's been Bitcoin's fault. But I don't want to point into that. What I want to talk about is that this is coincidentally gaining steam at the same time as the WEF is warning us that we need to give up our privacy so they can have more control to prevent us from this exact type of thing. You might also know last week we saw the FAA in the United States. The FAA shut down all flights at the same time. It was the largest shutdown, the largest disturbance of flights in history. And supposedly they had a glitch in the system, and the glitch forced them to shut it down. Now, Pete Buttigieg, who's in charge of, he's the transportation secretary, he says that it could have been a cyber attack. Now, it could have been. We don't know. They haven't come out with that yet. But what's coincidental, and I wasn't aware of this until just the other day, is that just before, or no, I'm sorry, 2 weeks later, after the FAA attack happened, the same thing happened in Canada. Their flight system was attacked. And as a matter of fact, it had also been done in the Philippines as well. And it's almost like these cyber attackers are attacking our core critical infrastructure, like transportation, like flights. Now, when that happens, it causes billions of dollars of loss. Hundreds of millions of people's lives are impacted. They don't get to their meetings on time, to see their loved ones on time, etc. And that is the pain. It's turning the pain dial up. It's the stick that gets us to give up our freedom.